4 magnetic phrases that create instant attraction in women. Psychology of attraction, Old Stoic Wisdom. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting 2 bodies. Aristotle. Gentlemen, let me share something about attraction that many will never grasp. It's not about being the tallest, wealthiest, or most physically attractive man in the room. It's not about flaunting expensive cars or using cheesy pickup lines. The truth lies in the power of the words you speak during those early moments of interaction. Right now, there are countless men having dull, forgettable conversations with women, while others are using just a few carefully chosen phrases that draw women in, making them lean in closer, laugh more freely, and leave them thinking about the interaction for days. What makes the difference? Psychology. Through coaching thousands of men and analyzing real-world interactions, I have identified 3 simple yet magnetic phrases that spark genuine curiosity in women, making you stand out without trying too hard. The best part? You can start using them right now. No special skills or tricks required. In fact, one of these phrases is so powerful that women often text their friends about you immediately after hearing it. Another one will make her hang on to your every word. And the third? It's my personal favourite for creating instant chemistry. If you want to transform how women respond to you in conversation, then keep reading. I'm about to reveal these secrets. Let's talk about that pivotal moment when everything changes. It's when a conversation shifts from polite small talk to something electric. When her eyes light up, her body language opens up, and you can feel the connection deepening. This isn't luck. This isn't magic. This is the science of attraction at play. Welcome, Stoicism. Win. Friend, after a decade of studying real-life interactions between men and women, I've learned something that will forever change how you approach dating. Most men make a critical mistake. They obsess over what to say to impress women, when the real focus should be on making women feel something genuine. The truth is, attraction isn't about memorizing perfect lines. It's about understanding the psychological triggers that naturally draw people towards you. Today, I'll introduce you to 3 phrases that work like secret keys. They bypass the logical mind and speak directly to a woman's emotions. These aren't gimmicks or tricks. These are shortcuts based on cutting-edge psychology research from top universities like Harvard and Stanford, as well as hundreds of real-world tests with my clients. One of these phrases can make you 83% more memorable, according to a UCLA study. Another creates what psychologists call instant intimacy. And the third is so effective that I've witnessed it spark chemistry in as little as 30 seconds. But here's what makes this different from typical dating advice. We're not here to manipulate or play games. We're here to develop real social skills that work, whether you're in the boardroom, at the bar, or anywhere you meet someone special. By the end of this guide, you'll understand exactly why these phrases work, when to use them, and how to make them your own. No gimmicks, no nonsense, just practical tools you can apply today. Phrase 1. The curiosity trigger. In any interaction, there's an intriguing psychological aspect that can make a lasting impact. The curiosity trigger, specifically the art of the unfinished thought. It taps into a simple yet profound aspect of human nature. We crave resolution. When someone begins to say something but doesn't finish, it naturally compels our minds to wonder about what was left unsaid. This isn't a manipulation tactic. It's just how the human brain works. We're wired to want to know the rest of the story, to complete the thought that's dangling just out of reach. Now, let's explore how you can use this powerful tool to create a magnetic connection in your conversations. Picture this. In a conversation, she shares something personal about herself, maybe a unique hobby or a vivid story. This is your moment. You don't want to force it, but in a calm, nonchalant way, you drop a line like, "You remind me of, actually, never mind." Or, "There's something about you that, no, it's not important." Or even, "The way you said that makes me think, forget I mentioned it." The key is to sound as if the thought just popped into your head, casual, unplanned, and not at all rehearsed. Then, move on and let the conversation flow in another direction, as if the unfinished thought never existed. This subtle move will trigger her curiosity. She may not ask about it right away, but her mind will be working overtime trying to figure out what you were about to say. Eventually, when she inevitably does ask, and most likely she will, you'll have the perfect opportunity to offer a real and meaningful observation, one that reflects who she is beyond just her appearance. Perhaps you could say something like, "I was going to say you have a really thoughtful way of explaining things," or "You remind me of someone who's comfortable being themselves." Another option could be, "There's a confidence in the way you talk about your work." These remarks not only demonstrate that you've been actively listening, but they also show you've been paying attention to the deeper qualities that make her unique. This approach does more than just elevate a conversation beyond typical small talk. It makes you stand out as someone who engages at a level that others don't. By doing this, you'll not only capture her interest, but also foster a dynamic exchange that feels natural and comfortable. This isn't about playing games. It's about creating genuine, captivating conversations that flow with ease. To borrow a quote from the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you engage in meaningful, thoughtful dialogue, you create an environment where connection can flourish. It's all about being present, tuning into her energy, and offering insights that spark curiosity and deeper engagement. So next time you're in a conversation, think about how you can apply the curiosity trigger. What could you leave unsaid that might leave her wanting more? Remember, the goal is to make her think, to make her feel like she's found someone who truly sees her, not just on the surface, but as a person with depth. And finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever tried using this technique? What was the result? Feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. Phrase 2. The secret compliment. Most compliments fall flat, don't they? If you've ever tried to give a compliment to an attractive woman, you'll quickly realize that simply saying, "You're beautiful," doesn't have the impact you think it does. In fact, by the time a woman reaches her mid-20s, compliments about her looks become so common, they blur into background noise, leaving her with little more than a polite smile. Over time, she builds emotional armor to deflect these predictable remarks. But what if I told you there was a way to break through that armor and truly connect with her, making her feel something real, something deeper? That's where the secret compliment comes into play. It's not about flattering her with empty praise. It's about observing her in a way that speaks to her inner qualities and recognizing her for something more than her outward appearance. This compliment comes from a place of genuine appreciation for her character, her actions, or the way she sees the world. When you take the time to acknowledge something that's beyond the surface, it triggers a more profound emotional response. There's science behind this too. Researchers at Princeton discovered that compliments focused on a person's skills generate 3 times more attraction than compliments based on physical appearance. This is because people, particularly women, remember character traits 5 times longer than they do physical attributes. Even more fascinating, it turns out that when you highlight someone's unique behaviors or talents, it activates the brain's reward centers, generating feelings of genuine emotional satisfaction. So when you focus on acknowledging a woman's talents, her intelligence, or the qualities that make her unique, you're tapping into a much more powerful form of attraction, one that goes beyond fleeting moments of admiration. Now, let's break down how you can deliver the perfect secret compliment. Timing is everything. Wait for the right moment, preferably when she reveals something authentic about herself. Maybe she shares an insightful perspective or talks about something she's passionate about. That's your cue. Instead of saying something general like, "You're smart," make it specific. For example, the way you explained that shows real depth of understanding goes much further. It shows that you've not only been paying attention, but that you appreciate the way she thinks. Keep it real. The key to making this work is that you only compliment what you genuinely notice. The more specific and sincere, the better. For instance, a great compliment might sound like this. Most people wouldn't pick up on this, but you have an incredible talent for making people feel heard. Or perhaps, you've got this rare combination of confidence and warmth. It's not something you see every day. Another example could be, the way your mind works is fascinating. When you said, insert insight, it showed a unique perspective. Each of these compliments speaks to a deeper part of who she is, not just what she looks like. When delivering the secret compliment, the key is in the delivery. It's not just the words, it's the energy behind them. Before you give the compliment, pause slightly. This builds anticipation and signals that you're about to say something meaningful. Make it clear that this observation is coming from genuine thought, not a rehearsed line. Soft eye contact is important too. It shows that you're fully present, not distracted by anything else. After you deliver the compliment, move on naturally. Don't hang around waiting for validation or looking for her to react immediately. Just let it sit and move the conversation forward. Here's what happens in her mind when you use the secret compliment. First, surprise. She might think, wait, he noticed that about me. Then, validation kicks in. Someone finally sees the real me. And finally, attraction. The seed of connection has been planted. She'll feel drawn to you because you've taken the time to understand her at a deeper level. It's not about superficial praise. It's about acknowledging the person she truly is. For those looking to refine their technique even further, there's an advanced approach called the compliment sandwich. Here's how it works. Begin by making an observation about something she did, like when you did X. Next, compliment the quality you saw in her actions, like it showed Y quality. Then, finish with an impact statement. That's rare because Z. For example, when you included Sarah in the conversation earlier, it showed real social awareness. Most people are too self-focused to notice when someone's being left out. This formula makes your compliment more impactful because it highlights not just the action, but also why it matters and why it's rare. Of course, as with anything, there are signs that you might be getting it wrong. If she says thanks but doesn't engage with you further, your compliment might have been too generic. If she seems uncomfortable, it could be because the compliment was too personal too soon. And if she questions your sincerity, it likely means your compliment wasn't specific enough. It's essential to strike the right balance of authenticity and respect. In many ways, the secret compliment embodies ancient wisdom, specifically the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, who once wrote, "Look beneath the surface." This approach to complimenting others demonstrates presence, perception, and emotional intelligence, qualities that Stoic philosophers valued as markers of high character. By focusing on what's beneath the surface, you're showing that you see her as more than just a pretty face, that you recognize the depth of her character. This kind of emotional intelligence is what makes you stand out as a high-value individual, just as those wise philosophers advocated for centuries ago. Your challenge today is simple, yet powerful. Next time you're talking to a woman, find one authentic thing to compliment that has absolutely nothing to do with her appearance. Focus on something she says, something she does, or a quality you admire in her. Watch how differently she responds. You'll notice that this type of compliment invites a more genuine, deeper connection, and that's the real attraction, your mission. Next time a woman asks you a personal question, resist the urge to answer directly. Flip it back playfully. Watch how much more engaged she becomes. If you want to make a lasting impression and create genuine attraction, the secret compliment is your key. Break through the surface, see the real person, and watch how powerful a compliment can be when it comes from the heart. If you're ready to master this approach and want to put it to the test, drop a comment right now. I see beyond the surface and value what truly matters. Like this video, subscribe for more powerful insights, and remind yourself daily, true attraction is built on understanding, not appearances. Phrase 3. The reverse question. Let me drop a brutal truth that most men will never grasp. Attraction is about more than just asking the right questions. The man who controls the conversation has the power, but the man who controls the connection, through a simple reversal of the rules, becomes irresistible. This isn't some game. It's the understanding of an unspoken, subtle dance that women are constantly engaging in. When used properly, this one technique can transform mundane conversation into an electrifying experience, one that sparks real, lasting attraction. Here's why it works. Every woman, whether she realizes it or not, enters what I call interview mode whenever a man starts asking the typical, predictable questions. What do you do for work? Where are you from? What are your hobbies? These questions are tired. They're not only predictable, they make her the center of attention and put the weight of the conversation on her shoulders. When you use the reverse question, you put her in a position to qualify herself to you. It's a subtle shift in power that immediately grabs her attention, signaling to her that you're selective, that you're not just thirsty for any answer she gives. You're testing the waters, and you're doing it with playful tension that sparks interest, not pressure. Now, let's get into how you execute it. The moment she asks, "Why are you still single?" or "What are you looking for?" or "What do you do for fun?" your response should not be a direct answer. Instead, you respond with a challenge. "Why do you think I am? What's your guess?" Or maybe, "I could ask you the same thing, but I think I already know." This instantly creates a sense of mystery, of intrigue, two things every woman craves. The psychological hook is set. She's now thinking about you, not just answering a question. It's a game changer in any conversation. Imagine this. Her, "Why's a guy like you still single?" You, "What's your theory?" Smirking. Now the conversation flips from an interview to a real connection. She might say, "Maybe you're too picky." You, "Interesting. What would make someone too picky in your eyes?" Now you're deep in a conversation, not just asking basic questions. The power dynamics have shifted, and the energy is completely different. But let's take it further. Advanced tactics can make this technique even more powerful. For example, add an eyebrow raise when you say, "I think I already know." This is an instant attention grabber. Or deliver your response with a slow, deliberate smile. Let her feel the tension building. And for the ultimate play, when she's close but not quite on point with her guess, throw in, "Close, but the real reason is even more interesting." You've just taken her curiosity to another level. Now, there are some common mistakes you should avoid if you want this technique to truly work. First, never use this for factual questions, like, "Where do you live?" This isn't a technique for every question. It's for those more personal, probing inquiries that are designed to get to know you. Secondly, don't overuse it. If you flip every question back on her, you'll just look evasive, or, worse, like you're hiding something. There's a fine balance to this. And lastly, always have a follow-up answer ready when she insists. If you reverse the question and she's persistent, don't leave her hanging. Be prepared to elaborate and share something that continues the intrigue. Let's bring in a piece of wisdom from the Stoics here. Epictetus, a legendary Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." This technique is a perfect embodiment of that principle. It's not about simply answering a question. It's about how you respond, how you shape the interaction. You're not just a passive participant in the conversation. You're in control of how it unfolds, your mission. Next time a woman asks you a personal question, don't just answer her. Resist the urge to spill your life story. Instead, flip it back on her with confidence and wit. Watch how much more engaged she becomes, how much more interested she is in knowing you. The energy of the conversation will shift, and you'll leave her wanting more. Phrase 4. The empathy bridge. In the art of conversation and building attraction, one of the most powerful tools at your disposal is what can be called the empathy bridge. This technique is about creating a deep emotional connection in mere moments, and it's rooted in the psychology of human connection. When you make the other person feel truly understood, When you listen beyond just the words and attune to their emotional state, you unlock a bond that goes far beyond the surface. It's not about offering perfect solutions or having all the right answers. Rather, it's about showing genuine empathy for the other person's experiences, feelings, and perspectives. In today's world, where people are often surrounded by noise and distractions, being the person who truly listens can be incredibly magnetic. Why does empathy work so well in creating instant attraction? At the core of it, empathy facilitates emotional connection. When someone feels that you understand their feelings, whether joy, sadness, frustration, or excitement, they lower their defenses, making themselves more open and vulnerable with you. This isn't the same as sympathy. It's about recognizing their emotions without trying to fix or judge them. It's a simple yet profound act, recognizing that their experience matters and acknowledging it sincerely. By doing this, you help to establish a space where the other person feels heard and appreciated for who they are. The psychological impact is immediate. It creates trust and emotional safety, and it is in these fertile grounds that attraction blossoms. To employ the empathy bridge effectively, wait for a moment when she shares something that reveals a deeper part of her, whether it's a personal challenge she's facing, a vulnerable moment, or a story that gives insight into her values. Then, your response should not be just a polite acknowledgement, but a heartfelt recognition of what she's going through. You might say something like, "It sounds like that really impacted you," or "I can see why that would be tough." The key here is not to simply echo her words, but to convey that you understand the emotional weight behind them. You might say, "Wow, I totally get how you feel. That's something I'd be frustrated by too." Your response should feel genuine and thoughtful, showing that you're not just listening to the facts, but also to the emotions driving her words. When you respond with empathy, the outcome is powerful. She feels seen, validated, and understood. Emotions that are incredibly important in any meaningful connection. This validation fosters trust and creates a sense of emotional safety, allowing her to open up even more. As this bond grows, so too does the attraction she feels towards you, because genuine emotional connection is a cornerstone of human attraction. You become the person she can share her vulnerabilities with, and that sense of emotional closeness and safety draws her in. If you want to take it a step further, consider using the empathy loop, an advanced technique that deepens the connection even more. After recognizing her emotion, you validate it. "That must have been so frustrating." Then, you can reinforce the bond by saying something like, "I'd probably feel the same way." The final step in the loop is to further solidify your connection by recognizing the rarity of such open communication. It's rare to find someone who can talk about these things openly, you know? This reinforces the emotional safety you're offering, making her feel comfortable being vulnerable and open with you. However, it's important to be mindful of some common mistakes people make when trying to build an emotional bridge. One of the biggest errors is offering advice too soon. Often, when someone opens up to you, they don't want solutions. They want to be heard. Jumping straight to a fix can feel dismissive of their feelings. Another mistake is being too generic in your responses. Simply repeating their emotions can come across as insincere if it lacks emotional depth. The goal here is not to mimic their words, but to understand the core of what they're feeling and respond with authenticity and care. In line with Stoic wisdom, Marcus Aurelius offers insight that aligns perfectly with this technique. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This perspective reminds us that emotional connection isn't about manipulation. It's about engaging deeply with the experience of another human being. When you truly connect with someone's feelings, you're not just creating attraction, but also fostering a meaningful, reciprocal relationship built on trust and understanding. This ancient wisdom is a timeless tool that we can use in today's world, where true connection often feels harder to come by. So the next time someone shares something personal with you, resist the temptation to offer immediate solutions. Instead, focus on creating an emotional bridge by showing empathy. This small shift can transform the nature of your interactions and over time help you build stronger, more meaningful connections. By validating their emotions rather than offering a logical response, you'll witness how much closer you become, creating an emotional bond that is powerful, lasting, and magnetic. Final thoughts. Gentlemen, what you've just learned isn't just a set of conversation tricks. It's a complete reframe of how attraction works. These phrases aren't magic spells, and they're not some kind of shortcut. They work because they come from a place of calm confidence, not desperation. They're not about manipulation. They're about expressing your best self, the man who is comfortable with who he is and doesn't need to seek validation from others. But here's the truth. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch video after video, read book after book, but if you don't take action, you'll remain where you are. The key is applying what you've learned in real situations. The best knowledge comes from experience and testing what truly works in the world around you. Your mission this week. Choose one technique from today, whether it's the unfinished thought, the secret compliment, or the reverse question, and put it to the test in the real world. Pay close attention to how women respond when you stop chasing approval and start creating intrigue. Watch how the dynamic shifts when you stop being reactive and begin leading the interaction with calm, composed confidence. It's not about perfection, it's about taking action and getting better with each try. I want to hear your stories. Drop a comment below. Which phrase resonated with you the most? Where are you going to test it first? What's your biggest aha moment from this video? I make it a point to read every single comment, and I'll personally respond to the most insightful ones. Your feedback helps me understand what resonates with you and what challenges you might be facing, and I'm here to help you break through those. For the men who are ready to go even deeper, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Next week, we're breaking down a powerful 2-second eye trick that makes her chase you. This is a technique used by charismatic men throughout history, an eye contact method that speaks volumes and leaves a lasting impression. And remember, this is not about collecting lines or playing games. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts great connections through confidence, self-awareness, and authenticity. The true power lies in becoming a man who isn't focused on impressing others, but on being the best version of himself. Here's Stoicism Win. Walk in truth, gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next one.